Have you ever had an inkling about someone that, something was off, something was not right, something wasn't what it seemed? That's what we like to call a red flag.
A red flag.
Have you ever had any red flags pop up when you're dealing with people, businesses, or people in general? Let us know. Have you ever noticed any red flags, and did you listen to that red flag?
So what's a red flag, Ty?
Well, I would say a red flag is something that your intuition is telling you, hey, that's a little fishy, that's a little funny, I don't know about this. Like if you get a job or something somewhere, and you notice that everybody on the job is saying, man, I can't stand working here, I can't wait to get off of here, man, they don't even treat people right. Oh man, I just got hired.
And you be like, I
think that's a red
Jamie Foxx.
Little things like that. And that's just talking about businesses or a job or something. But you also can have those red flags when you're dealing with people.
Yes, because all the time a person's not what they represent. I've had that.
Yeah, a lot of times that can happen. So again, let us know if you had any red flags, and without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
Well, Ty, I'm gonna tell you something. I just had a red flag from Christmas.
Red flag.
From Christmas, my phone goes off, and I'm thinking it's Vivian, my cousin, right? She wouldn't mind me calling her name, and it says, Sandra, have you heard from the Human Resource Commission? I'm like, I ain't never even heard of that. She said, well, they giving out money. I'm like, what? Got my attention. And so I goes on. She sends me the link. I hit the link, and it says, you are eligible for $300,000. Now that was a red flag.
$300,000.
But listen, before I got to $300,000, I need to send $800 in on several different cards. I'm like,
scam alert.
Right? Why can't you just take the 800 out to 300,000?
Yeah.
So I'm like, people ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. Especially with the scammers. That's another topic, man. People are always trying to get over on others and trying to scam. So.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Big red flag. Red flag.
Ain't nobody getting out no free money.
And that's another thing. If it sounds too good to be true.
If it sounds too good, you already know.
You already know. We ain't got to tell you.
Nope. You shouldn't even be looking that way. And those red flags can save us if we listen to them.
If we listen, and the sooner you start to listen to common sense, because
a lot of times that's what triggers
that's
it.
Something
that don't make sense. That don't make sense. So yeah, those red flags can save you. So do you guys listen to your red flags? I had a time that I noticed a red flag about some friends. And a guy I just started hanging out with, we about to go out. I'm younger days. We about to go out and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, where we going tonight? We're going to a bar or whatever. Cool. He gets in the car. All right, we're going. He picks up the phone, talks to his girlfriend or whomever, and says, yeah, we're going to such and such. Yep, we're going right down the road to such and such and such. I look at him. We ain't going there. Where you up? We ain't going there. And then he hang up. Yeah. If she asks, make sure you tell us that we was at. Man, you ain't pulling me into nothing. Red flag.
Yep.
I don't need you to be pulling me into anything where I gotta lie. Lying is one of the things that I don't like to do. One, because I'm horrible at lying. And two, I feel like if I can stay truthful, maybe that'd be one of the things I can say when I get to the gate. I ain't never lied. I tried to stay truthful. I always told the truth. It helped me get in the gate. Hopefully.
I can't say that because I can tell the best lie you ever heard in your life. But I know that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about when you was telling that story about the guys. My red flag has always been a person. Well, usually, I won't say always, usually, when you have a really bad red flag, you can trace it back to a person. Because I hadn't been too long, got divorced, from my first husband. And you are a target then. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it then because I was much younger than I am now. And I met this guy. I won't call his name because it ain't worth it. Mm-hmm. But anywho, he was just saying all the things that he thought I wanted to hear. Because, you tell people your business, then they give them the blueprint.
Yeah, he saying the right answers to everything you say.
Yes.
Being a yes man.
He was going to be there all the time. And I'm like, this is a little bit too good to be true. But I allowed myself. And notice I said I allowed myself. He really didn't fool me. But I allowed myself to be drug along for about a couple of years. And then after that, if you can't maintain that, then it's not real. If the real you can be the real you for years at a time.
Yeah.
But if you portraying something that's not real, you got to hurry up and get the bait out. Because if you don't hurry up and snag who you trying to snag, that real you going to pop out too early.
Too early.
And that's exactly what I allowed to happen to me. So, if you out there and you're trying to find somebody, there's nothing wrong with that. But what we're trying to say is, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Pay attention to your intuition.
If you smelling alcohol on the first date, good chance that person drinks a lot of who drinks on the first date, sloshy.
Nah, sloshy.
And you trying to get somebody.
Sometimes you might got to take the edge off, because I do know sometimes you might be a little nervous. I sometimes used to drink the calm my nerves, especially if you're going to meet somebody or you're trying to impress. So sometimes it can help calm your nerve. But if it's to the point that, like you said, you slurring your words,
and I'm smelling alcohol at 6 o'clock in the morning coming through your skin from last night.
Yeah, it's a little excessive there.
That's excessive. And as Jamie Foxx said, you better go.
So again, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about jobs. So scammers. If you investments too. Like if you are talking about investments and somebody come to your door, you ain't gotta do nothing but put $1,000 on this, and then in a couple months you gonna have 10. Now, brother, you're gonna have to break down some statistics or something. How am I $1,000 gonna turn to 10?
And show me your 10.
Yeah, that's what I need to see. Where your money at? You got a bag? Oh no, you knocking on my door for my 10, for my 1,000.
Exactly.
So make sure that investments do happen. That's what whole stocks and stuff is. Good investments can come about, but just make sure you pay attention to your intuition and red flags, so you don't end up being a victim of someone taking your money. Because at the end of the day, we work hard for our things and money. So just pay attention to that too, because those red flags, if something doesn't make sense, you might need to leave it alone. Or like I said, maybe you need to do your own research and figure out if it's good or not,
Now, Tyler, you remember back in 2008, when the bubble hit, they called it a bubble. When the
housing market and everything.
They were letting people get loans on houses. Say I make $65,000 a year, but they were letting me finance at $100,000. Now, where was I gonna get the rest of the money once I got in the house? After 2-3 months rolled by, something ain't right.
Yeah, something ain't right. And that's what a lot of people was foreclosing on their homes and things like that, because they got into situations.
People were living in tents
that they couldn't handle.
Yeah, and that's bad when you gotta take your kids from living in a house with your heating and hot water and sanitation and all that, and then go live in a tent. So, and I think it's because we know better, we see better, but we just, I'm just gonna try this. But 9 times out of 10, you might get lucky that one time. But 9 times out of 10 tries, you are just waving that red flag. Red
flags. And we're touching on everything, even down to people and kids, man. Just people in general. A lot of people, I know my wife, she does work with a lot of special cases, and just watch your kids with people too, because you never know. Red flags. I'm talking about People do crazy things to kids. People do crazy things to other people too. But nowadays, you gotta pay attention to all the signs when you see red flags in people, because people do crazy things. Even talking about the shootings, right? You hear all these shootings, and
you can't even go to a movie or go to the mall.
It's like you always have to have your peripheral up, your guard up,
eyes in the back of your head, right?
So you can catch these red flags.
My daughter and I were out before Christmas, and we were talking about red flags and people and how they treat children. And I saw the most disturbing thing. We were in Food Line, and this mother and her daughter was there. And she was talking to this kid just like she was some trick off the street. She was just cussing this little kid out, effing well this, and you didn't have this. And it took me a while before I realized she had some mental issues.
Got mental issues.
And
It stems from a parent.
What do you do? Do we have an obligation in those instances to call somebody, or do we just turn a blind eye? I've been wrestling with that ever since then. It was like maybe a day before Christmas, maybe Christmas Eve, and it's really been hard on my mind.
Well, it's not our place to overstep. Now, if you see something really excessive,
like she was wailing on the kid.
Yeah, if you see something overly excessive, then of course you can call CPS or someone like that. But if it's not excessive, of course you can't do, but especially the random, you can't do it so much, because you gotta mind your own business and stay in your lane. But at the same time, I guess at the end of the day, all you can do is pray for them.
Pray for, you know what? And I did get some comfort from that, because I have 2 little grandsons, and if I thought anybody was talking to those kids like that, it would be a different me. I believe in getting along. I really don't believe in violence as far as fighting and doing, but I can run them out.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stand for that to be my little grandkids being taught, because that's abuse too.
Yep, it was verbal abuse. Yep.
Red flag, but the red flag went up when I said, okay, so she got some problems as well.
And that's sad. Sometimes those problems with the adults trickle down to the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
and
happens.
It's a full circle. What that little girl gonna do when she grows up, if this is all she's being fed, you are your community. You are the company that you keep.
That is one we're gonna do too. The company you keep. We gotta do that one. I hope we might do it today. But anyway, I saw a post, and it was a post that I posted on my page, and it's something that really stuck out to me. If you are out and we're having dinner or whatever, and with friends or whomever, and we have dinner, and you have a friend that's completely disrespectful to the waiter or waitress. Like, the waiter or waitress ain't doing nothing but their job, but they talking smack to them, or then you get my order and snapping at them and things like that. That's a red flag, because imagine if that was your job.
They disrespectful.
If you were in that position, he or she would talk about you like a dog too, because that person is just a disrespectful person.
And I tell you one thing, Ty, there's a lot of things that we put up with in this life, but 2 things that really gets me is a disrespectful person and a straight up liar.
Yeah.
Now, you can kind of put up with other things if you're not gonna be around them that much, but just sheer disrespect. When you go out somewhere and you just trying to have your dinner, and somebody, like you just said, get to showing off on the waitress, or
like, why
acting a fool.
And a lot of times people that do that, they have problems themselves, so they want to throw it off on someone else. But again, that's a red flag.
Or either you beside these young kids and they playing this music, gangster rap, and they can obviously look at you and see that that's really not what you about, and it's banging about my BITC this, and we don't want to hear that. Cut that stuff down and get back in your own car. And I'm just speaking for the people my age.
Yeah, I ain't mad at
the
you.
60s and over. We are not trying to hear somebody beating up on their girlfriend and knocking this trick aside and knocking that trick aside.
Yeah, that's the culture. Cause you already know I'm listening to 957 Smooth R&B,
yeah, but you're not in that
Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
I'm listening to that, but just a decade ago, I probably would have been one of them turning my music up, pulling up beside you, maybe with my music playing loud too.
But I can't see you as a disrespectful person. I just cannot see that.
I wouldn't been disrespectful, but I kind of understand that young culture, and I don't know what it is about different. That. Yeah, it is different. Yep. I guess we're getting off topic about the red flag. We're getting a little bit,
but that was the red flag about being disrespectful. You know, I wouldn't want anybody I know to date somebody that's what they playing on their radio, that they gonna beat this trick down, I'm gonna beat that hoe down. I wouldn't want nobody to be dating. If you about to be
dating and you pull up this guy or playing this gangster rap, that's what you listen to.
Because if he's feeding himself that, after a while, that what we say on that other one we did, your mind go. If where your mind go, your feet follow.
Yeah.
And if he's feeding himself that, and that's what he listening to, and all day long, he gonna begin to believe that. That's where you're supposed to treat women. That's a big old red flag right there.
Red flag.
Listen to what they listening to. See what they watching on TV. You know, because that tells a lot about a person.
Yeah, it does. It does. So make sure you guys listen to your intuition. Your intuition can save you, and it's there for a reason. It's a reason that your senses or you see something and you be like, is a reason you're having those thoughts. You know, maybe God is trying to tell you need to pay attention.
Absolutely.
Your body is trying to tell you need to pay attention.
Red flags in your diet.
Yes.
Eating salt.
Yes.
And shaking salt on an apple. You said, okay. You know, you already got one checkup behind you that want all that great.
Yeah. That is a good one too. Your body can definitely give you red flags.
Got a headache. That headache is trying to tell you something.
That's why I don't eat salty food. So I know sometimes it's hard because everything is salty, but I kind of eat bland food a lot of times because, all right, my family has a history of high blood pressure. My mother is on medication for high blood pressure. My uncles are on medication for high blood pressure. I don't want to be on any type of medication for high blood pressure. So what I do, I try to eliminate as much of the salt as possible. And when I do go over, I get a red flag from my body. I start you done went over on your salt intake. Now your chest tight. You need to sit down, go drink some water. But that's a red flag.
Yeah.
So you can listen to your red flags and, you know, with your body and act accordingly, or you can not obey the red flag, and you might end up going away from here, or you might end up on that, as I said, medication. You're gonna be on medication for life.
And one thing you may not know, Ty, and I'm just gonna tell you some old lady advice. If you start taking high blood pressure pills and diabetes medication, then things don't work out so good in the bedroom. So just so you know. Just
I
so
don't
you know.
No problems.
You don't want no problems with that.
Yep.
When you're young and you don't want no kind of problem like that. Now you know it comes a time in everybody's life when that's behind you. But now it's not yours.
So I try to do everything I can not to be medicated.
Yeah.
And again, you gotta listen to that intuition from your body and pay attention to those red flags, because you'll end up going away from here if you don't, especially when your body is giving you red flags.
Yeah, and your habits, you know, red flag. When you disappear in bags of candy, now that's me. When you disappear in candy every other day, you know that's a red flag. And you know you shouldn't have it because you already got the flags waving all the way to the door. So, you know, it's just some things that we wanted to bring out, you know, just everyday stuff, everyday common sense.
Everyday common sense.
And if you have some red flags, you know, we want to know about it. Ty and I, we want to know. We keep our ear to the ground. So this is how we get down with our podcast. We want to know what you're thinking about out there.
Let us know. Let us know what are your red flags, and do you listen to your red flags?
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, you know, it could be really bad. could be really, really bad.
Yeah, I've had some bad red flags, I'm telling you. And like I said earlier, from the body wise, we worked so hard when we were young, but you didn't have no choice, but I knew it was a red flag because I could feel my back would hurt and my neck would hurt when I was a young girl.
But back then you don't go to no doctor.
Oh no, I don't go to no doctor. You just take an aspirin and keep on going.
Keep it moving. Kill the pain
popping
for a little while and keep it moving.
But after a while the bill come due. You can only kill the pain for so long until you have to deal with the underlying issue.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do. I had 5 back surgeries already. Thyroid disease, high blood pressure. I thank God that I'm still able to get around and do for myself. But those were red flags, and sometimes it's inevitable. You just cannot get around it. But when you can keep that red flag in your mind, and okay, hands up in the air, I'm not touching it. And the red means stop. Not
that
a yellow flag.
That is stop.
Not a slow down.
Stop and reassess.
Stop, reassess, turn around, 180. Don't do a 360, do a 180.
Yeah.
Turn back to it and go the opposite direction. That's the red. That's what red means. You know that.
Yep. So we appreciate you guys checking us out. Let us know your feedback and stay tuned for more.
Thank you, Ty, for having me. I always enjoy our chit chats.
Yes. Peace out.